Stop playing cat and mouse with your partner. You know, I was reflecting on something that happened the other day between my beloved and I. And I noticed this pattern in me that I've been playing out for so many fucking years, where I would be upset, I would make a passive aggressive comment, I would be angry, I would aggress emotionally in some way to try and attempt to get some form of stimulus or response from my partner. And then I would revert back to blaming them for being reactive to me. And I would state very openly that I was calm and I was relaxed and you interpreted it wrong. And whilst there have been instances where that is true, the vast majority of time there's an unresolved annoyance within me. There's some bullshit within myself that I am choosing at some level not to deal with and not to take ownership and responsibility for. And I grew up in a very sarcastic, passive-aggressive and directly aggressive household. And so I'm really good at being sarcastic and I'm really good at being passive-aggressive. I'm really good at pushing on people's buttons. I'm really good at protecting that fragile ego of mine, and I'm really good at protecting that little boy that was hurt so much, that was rejected, that was humiliated, that was abandoned, that was told he was wrong so many times, that was abused in all the different ways. I'm really good at protecting that kid. And when I am unsettled or restless within myself, when I'm not feeling fully connected within myself, that little boy is activated and frightened, and my protector comes out. And one of the ways I do that is attack first. And I end up playing cat and mouse, and I'm going to share with you how that happens. And so the other day, I said a comment to my partner, and I said, "Hey, Christine, why don't you just try not complaining for a day and see what happens?" Because she was making some commentary on a couple of things. And I was pissed off that, well, I was pissed off for a few different things I didn't even know about, because I was busy in my mind and busy in my life, and I hadn't sat with myself for a moment to really just check in with me and just take steed of an inventory of where am I at right now. And I put the washing on, and then Christine added some laundry. I said I didn't want that laundry in there for a specific reason. That's why I let it out. And all of a sudden, something fucking small and ridiculous became something big. And I took it personally as if, I'm being restricted, or my freedom stuff came out. I can't do what I want to do in the way that I want to do it. And so I passed a passive-aggressive comment, and I disguised it with a calm tone, yet she's intuitive enough to actually feel what's really happening. And she became reactive. She got upset. She didn't want to be criticized. And she knew that I was implying that she complains often. She doesn't complain often. She's very observant, and she's particular about how she likes her life to be, which is fucking good. But for me, because I was pissed off, I was upset, I was angry at myself, and I had some unresolved stuff, and I was feeling pressure, just general pressure of life, maybe even a little overwhelmed. I don't even like that. My ego does not like that word overwhelmed, because in my mind it signifies and implies that I can't handle the things that I take on, or I'm not adept enough, or I'm not effective enough in my life. And at some level I'm not enough, and there's this low level of, or this higher level of me into low self-worth. So that word overwhelm really triggers me. I don't like it, but I'm forming a better relationship with it. Hence why I can be honest with you here. And so we got into this argument, and it started escalating, and I could see it escalating. I could see her shutting down and retracting. I also witnessed her speaking her truth. I then spoke my truth. We weren't aggressive with each other, but we were badgering each other. And we were hard and harsh with each other, and that's not fair. And what ended up happening is, in different ways, we were both playing cat and mouse with each other, because we don't want to argue. And so now we're playing cat and mouse, though, from a position of ego. I'll speak for myself, not for Christine in this instance. I was playing cat and mouse from a place of ego. I knew I could have done things better. I knew I could have communicated and spoken better. I knew I could have expressed myself with greater clarity. I could have asked the question better. I could have asked her, "Hey, what are you upset about?" Or, "This observation that you're making, is it a complaint?" But instead I made assumptions. And I passed a very sneaky passive-aggressive comment. And then I was playing cat and mouse. I was catching up, because I was trying to rectify that wrong, but without really owning the wrong, without really being sorry, right? like saying sorry, but not really fully meaning sorry. I wanted to say sorry, but I didn't really want to say sorry. My ego didn't want to say sorry. And so we're playing cat and mouse. I'm playing cat and mouse internally. I'm playing cat and mouse with her. She's playing cat and mouse with me. We're not really getting honest with each other because we're both charged and upset. So what do? We had to pause, and she was in a rush. She was leaving. We had to pause. And I kindly requested, can we just sit for a moment? There's no need for this argument. I'm happy to instigate this. I want to instigate this. Let me express my truth. Please, I want you to express your truth. Let me express to you what I could have done better. Let me express to you what I really meant. Let me express to you what I really needed. And please, I would like you to do the same. She had some tears. I had some regret. I had some remorse. I had some realizations. And so the cat and mouse piece in this instance was useful because we were both open to really want to grow with each other. We were both open to really want to see each other. And we were both open to really want to hear each other. And we wanted to rectify and equilibrate the argument and the disagreement. We saw that it was pointless, fruitless. It was this minimized conversation, this thing that blew up because ultimately we weren't connected. And that's what we got down to. We've been a little too busy. We've been like ships in the night with each other, and we haven't been connected. She hasn't felt seen. I haven't felt appreciated. We haven't had that quality time together without the distractions. And so we've been, both of us, a little on edge. And so we made a commitment to slow down the way we communicate, slow down the way we see each other, to slow life down. And not only in communication, but if we're feeling something, to really assume and take responsibility for that. And for me as a man, it's imperative that I do that. And it's imperative that I do that in a way that allows me to experience freedom within myself, but also to ensure that my wife knows exactly what's happening with me and for me. That I'm consistent in my behavior. And the way that I can become consistent in my behavior is by checking in with myself regularly, by creating that space and slowing down. Because otherwise what happens is we just play cat and mouse with each other. One person apologizes, the other person apologizes, one person apologizes, the other person apologizes. And sometimes you're apologizing just to stop the argument or just to stop the disagreement. When really there are layers underneath that apology, underneath that regret and remorse, underneath that wanting the tension to be relieved, that if those core issues are not addressed, then guess what? You just keep playing cat and mouse with each other, where you're arguing, you're okay. You're arguing, you're okay, but you're just okay. You're just okay. You're not thriving in the relationship. We're both committed to a thriving relationship. We're not always going to get it right. And I share this with you because if you can learn from that and learn from our experiences, choices, mistakes, whatever you want to call it, then we start to create greater harmony in our lives. And harmony in the home translates to harmony in the world at some level, right? It will happen. So the invitation for me in this instance was to stop playing cat and mouse, to stop being addicted to that pattern of needing to be seen, that pattern of needing to be right, that pattern of applying so much pressure to my partner where they succumb. And then ultimately I feel guilt and shame about it anyway. That pattern of being in the ego too much. And that pattern of not being able to let shit go. Just being able to soften more into that sense of my truth. Because I'm rigid and I'm harsh because I'm feeling threatened. So I can tell that there's an underlying sympathetic nervous system response. I'm still activated. I'm not regulated. And that's old shit. And I've got to remind myself that was then, this is now. Help that little boy feel safe within. Hand on heart, hand on belly. You were safe. That Christine is not the enemy. That my partner is not the enemy. She loves me and she cares for me. She wants the best for me as I do for her. And seeing her little girl that was reactive as well in those moments when she felt threatened. And then not to further be reactive myself. And to not let that little boy get and spiral out of control. I hope that share has helped. Blessings.